These beaches and these clubs and these hotels and these resorts are all built on ethnically cleansed Palestinian villages, towns, and cities. Israeli soldiers don't knock on a Palestinian's door and ask about their gender and sexuality, and then tell them to leave the house before they demolish it. Pinkwashing is a colonial tool that seeks to divert the attention from Israeli colonialism, military occupation, violation of international laws, and extreme violence used towards Palestinians. It seeks to divert this attention in order to focus on the fact that Tel Aviv, for example, is a gay heaven for international queer communities. Since Israel paints itself as the gay heaven for LGBT and queer communities in general, and since it continuously paints Palestinian society as the regressive and savage and violent one, so in this sense, it really forcefully internalizes the idea and the notion that Palestinian society can never accept Palestinian queer communities, and that Palestinian queer folks can never be integrated within their society, and that they are not even part of their society. Part of Israel's colonial oppression towards Palestinian society is also the advocacy of liberal values towards a more international crowd in the international community circle. So Israel continuously tries to better its image, and it's very much a systematic and institutional effort, very much state-funded, to continuously better the image of Israel internationally. And it is done through several tactics and policies. One of them is pinkwashing, another is greenwashing for more an environmentalist discourse, whitewashing, and the list goes on. Israel's approach towards queer Palestinians is that it kind of situates itself in a way where it is the only savior for queer Palestinians. Israeli soldiers don't knock on a Palestinian's door and ask about their gender and sexuality, and then tell them to leave the house before they demolish it. They don't ask someone about their gender and sexuality when they shoot them. A lot of Eastern and globally Southern societies and communities, as well as Muslim communities, are constantly painted through a monolithic lens, whereas we are painted as regressive societies, violent societies towards women and queer people, societies that are intolerant of different sexual and gender experiences and attitudes. Which is very much entrenched in colonialist, Islamophobic, anti-Black and anti-Arab rhetoric. Colonialism is actually what brought these beliefs to our communities. A lot of communities that have been colonized by France, Britain, and other European and American governments and imperial powers have been, in fact, affected tremendously by patriarchal colonialist belief. There is no one approach to accepting or oppressing or dealing with Palestinian queer gender and sexuality. You would find a lot of families that accept their children, that accept their queer, trans family members and relatives and friends. And you would find cases of oppression where a lot of queer people are facing isolation, seeking independence without any help of their family, struggling with sustaining a safe and secure lifestyle. So we have this multiplicity of experiences within our society. And we're trying to kind of, understand who we are, understand our struggle to be more inclusive, to fight for more radical liberation. Our struggle for liberation is very much embedded in humanizing our society at large, showing the multiplicity of experiences that we have, showing the differences and the richness of Palestinian experiences within our society, and also trying to mobilize to combat the colonial fragmentation and oppression and patriarchal violence that we face as